Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Great. So next up, I feel like I should be cueing the samba music for Brazil. Is going to be talking, they're with SD in Brazil, and they're going to be talking about Platform, a collaborative information system for subway stations.
Hi. Thank you very much for coming here today. We are design students from SD, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I'm Nikita.
My name is Raquel. Clara is also part of the team, but she couldn't be here today. Let me briefly take you through what will be present today. First, we are showing our motivation. Once identified the problems, we will then explain the proposal. Then, we will take a look at the research. And finally, we will show you a video that simulates the project. When we began thinking about the overall theme of 1 billion sensors, we thought that sensors are already a reality in our lives. So we decided not to draw inspiration from technology itself, but from observation of everyday life situations, where you can use technology to improve public well-being. That's when we turn our attention to the situation of common people waiting for public transportation and then focus on the subway platform.
We observed three things. First of all, waiting is boring. In subway platforms, you have nothing interesting to do, to read, or even to watch. The wait is experienced as a waste of time. That's why we use our mobile devices. We look at our last emails, Facebook and Twitter feeds, in order to stay connected. Then we observe that people along the subway platform tend to be disorganized. Passengers embarking do not respect people getting off the trains. They tend to cluster together and don't know the best place to stand. Then we noticed that the security yellow line between the train and the people is mostly neglected in its basic function and in the space itself. We thought then, why not use this neglected area to do something interesting?
So, the idea is to use this yellow line as the main element of an interactive system to be sponsored by government funding. This system identifies and understands the different flows of subway activity through multiple sensors. The line is now used as a display area that could be made with LED, a viable technology. Even though we haven't gone into detail how this sensor will work, we foresee that the system will be composed of a GPS to show where the train is and how long it will take to arrive, presence sensors located at the doors able to read how many passengers are coming or out of the cars, make it possible for the system to know which cars are more or less crowded, so you can better position yourself. A movement sensor that could also recognize hand gestures, able to control the content shown on the line. We are assuming that the system identifies who's in charge of this particular section of the line. Then it reacts accordingly. The line will also have a pressure sensor in order to identify if any passenger stepped on it unintentionally. In this way, platform operates not only as an interactive information system, but also contributes to users' overall safety.
Our research began going to bus and subway stations and observing the users' behavior. The context we had available to work with was Rio de Janeiro subway, which has few lines and predictable peak hours. Considering this context, we started doing sketches to register the situation problems. And we started to imagine different interaction solutions, such as moving information along the line, ways of controlling its flux, and eventually, the opening of new connections and possibilities. Considering the legibility requirements of our chosen context, we choose to use simple and basic high-contrast vibration graphics. Our main inspiration was indigenous artwork from different origins, with its use of simple elements like arrows, crosses, and anthropomorphic figures.
We've tried a lot of representations until we reached a desired shape for each function. We started drawing abstract shapes like crosses, cubes, and lines. After the first solution, we took these drawings out to the streets to observe the users' reactions. Then we went to the exit of a subway station and interviewed 25 users, showing them a prototype made out of fabric where we pasted white stripes with different graphics. We asked some questions like which letter size was more legible. We tested the proportions between the line and written words and graphics. We also asked the users what kind of content they would like to see on the line. We've had some interesting inputs from their answers using the Think Aloud technique. As most of you might know, Think Aloud is a technique where users say what they think while experimenting the prototype. Those inputs have oriented our final design decision. In order to visualize the interaction in a more complete way and to present the whole system, we've decided to create a video with simulations of the movements on a real subway platform. To do that, we had to hide the camera and to disguise the shooting. So let's see it.
We haven't finished. We do believe that platform could be applied to other subway systems. For instance, Paris or Beijing could develop their own particular relevant content and cultural style. In short, platform is a system designed to happen in a public space. It provides real-time information on the functionality of the whole subway activity. It makes use of existing neglected areas instead of adding yet another object in a world already saturated. It educates people to behave better collectively. And it fills with new, shared and useful experiences the otherwise idle and boring waiting time. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Anyone, Mike, do you have any comments? We haven't. He loves it.
I think this is a really nice design idea, and I could see obviously a lot of possibilities with it. One thing I was curious about, particularly in your video, there's a moment where the woman waiting at the track is sort of waving her hand to the next piece of information. And you chose an interaction modality there that tends to work well in non-noisy environments, but tends to fail pretty badly in noisy environments. And I'm curious how you researched that choice in the video. What made you feel like that was the right interaction choice for it based on the other activities that happen around the line?
We think in do other kind of interaction, like steps on it to choose the information, but we thought that this maybe was dangerous to the passenger. So we think in this way, with the hand gesture and with a sensor that can recognize was the best option.
I think this is really well done. It made me think of some work by Tesco, which allows you to go into subway systems and actually buy food virtually, and then when you get home, your food is delivered to your home. So I think it makes really interesting use of a time, like you said, a boring waiting time. My question for you is: this thing seems to do everything. It teaches me. It tells me how to behave with others. It entertains me. It probably cooks my meals if I wanted it to. What's the single most? What do you think? What need is the highest priority? Does that make sense?
The priority?
The priority. So right now it can teach me about things that are going on in the subway. It can entertain me. It can show me how to act. If you were to pick what the most important need that you're filling is, what would you say that was?
Oh, I guess it's the feedback when you step on it. It gives you feedback,
safety.
yeah, the safety.
Yeah, more to organize the platform. I think
Okay.
is the main.
Okay, so it's to keep you from going into the platform. Thank you very much.
So, I don't know, it really bugged me, your presentation, because you have no business doing that mature of a presentation at this stage of your education. That was one of the most professional presentations I've seen about a concept. And what it did is you motivated, but you arrived at, but motivated a really clear design language. And it pervaded every single part of your presentation, from the fonts, from the graphics between slides, everything. It reflected what was in the design itself. And that clarity and unity gives confidence in everything you're saying. And it established this kind of confidence, but also a very clear brand value that's unique to the place. And I like that it was context. And I like that you were conscious of that and also said you could do the same thing, but it would have to be a very different design in a different cultural context. And so, and just the video at the end, trust me, I worked in this industry, you could get a job in a feature film visual effects house if you can do that kind of visual effects that you did there. Again, the film production itself is worthy of somebody who's a graduate student in film school. And so it reflects on you, your other students who clearly helped work on it, and the faculty in the school. And I think that you're a credit to all of them. And you did a really good job, especially
Thank
not
you.
in the native language.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I see the professors again videotaping away, Marcos and Eliane up there, if you want to just wave really quickly.